Yeah. Well, you got two to do, so there we go. All right, y'all, we got to do one more on the other side.
She gave me seed money for my film. She's gonna have it, and also before that, my thesis film, Joe's Bedside Barbershop. So we grew up in art was always in the household. So it's just honor that I'm here with Tonya, and it's a great moment for the Lee family. As we heard, my grandmother finished in Spelman also, which you left out. She went 4 years of high school here in Spelman, then 4 years of college, finished in 1929, and my mother finished in 1954. So my father was a freshman. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was a senior. And Martin Luther King III and I were classmates, class of '79. This, I'm going to end right here. But back in the day, Packard Hall was a dorm. And I'm not going to get into specifics. I have a very special place in my heart for this particular dorm. And that's about it. Want to say something?
Well, I don't know what I can really add to that other than to say, it's funny in the Lee household, Spike's siblings say that his brother David was his mother's favorite. But I think it's pretty clear that Spike was his grandmother's favorite. I think they both got something out of him being here at Morehouse. But I know they both loved this man so dearly. They say behind every great man there's a great woman, but he had several great women behind him before I even got here. And I just know that Miss Zimmie and Miss Jackie are up there doing a jig right now today. They are very proud of their son and their grandson, and I think that they would be just beyond thrilled to know that their legacy is going to continue on like this. So I thank you all for being here today for this. Thank you.
And Zimmie, she lived to be 100 years old, too. 100. So, like Tonya said, they're looking down upon us now, and a great honor. Thank you, President Gayle.
All right. So your parents, I'm sure your grandmother instilled education into you. That was one thing you knew, even if you didn't know what you were going to major in, you knew you were going to go to college, right?
Like I was going to Morehouse. I mean, my father went there, my grandfather went there, and my mother and grandmother went to Spelman. So it was no question. No question.
Was it the same for your kids?
Nah, they went to NYU.
I mean, in terms of they had to go to college.
Oh, yeah, but we didn't really, they didn't want to come down.
We tried. We wanted them to come down here.
But they didn't want to do it.
They wanted to do whatever they wanted to do.
They're lost.
Exactly.
Your wife mentioned the influence of women in your life, your mother and your grandmother. You and I talked about it in your profile. Can you talk a little bit about just how your mother and your grandmother influenced you and made you, and your wife, and just who you are in terms of,
Well, in our family, we always encouraged, in the arts. And just before there's a term, Black excellence, I mean, that's what it was, So I'm a long line of educated Negro, so-called Negro. My great-grandfather was a disciple of Booker T. Washington, Tuskegee, so great-great-grandfather. So I remember, though, my freshman year, I was homesick, and I write my mother letters, and she was an English teacher, and she would send my letters back, and it looked like she had slit her wrist. It was bugged up. She said, "I can't believe I have a semi-illiterate son that goes to Morehouse." True story.
So you've accomplished a lot in your life, but looking at your face, what were your thoughts when you saw that sign?
Grandparents, my grandparents and my parents, all four came from Spelman and Morehouse. So it's intertwined.
I would say, not that I'm speaking for him, but I think there is a deep sense of pride. Obviously, I think you can hear clearly. I know how Spike feels being a third-generation Morehouse man.
The house.
Oh my God.
The house.
Where we go.
The house.
And that his parents and grandparents met here, and that foundation that he's had with them, how he was able to build from that. So I know he has a great deal of pride. For me too, just standing here, looking at that, being here, being able to dedicate the building in this way to his family is just, I'm filled with immense pride, and also a sense of okay, now we got to go back to work, keep the work going,
Thank you.
Okay,
Yes,
can you specify how it makes you feel knowing that future generations to come will look back at the generations that came before them when they look at that sign?
Well, hopefully they've seen some of my movies too. Exposure. Sometimes the camera might be on me, so I'm just gonna rep. And it's, there's another thing I like to say. Even today, School Days came out in 1988. Even today, people come to me and say that film changed their life. That some never heard of black school, did not want to go to black school. And also give out credit to Bill Cosby too.
Different world.
A different world. Those two things, really brought a renaissance. And also, this post George Floyd era, there's been another renaissance of also the vice president coming from HU, So there's a upswing of I was reading an article, the people trying to get into black schools is an all-time high. I know Spelman and Morehouse, you have to turn down a lot of worthy students who want to come here, but there's only a limited amount of people who can get in. So there's a rebirth, I think, that's happening.
And you've been on that drum beat. You've been on that drum beat since you left, and so people are catching up too,
In addition to that, though, before, a lot of our young black minds, if they got accepted to Yale or Harvard or Princeton, automatically they go, nuh-uh. They're turning down Ivy schools to come to institutions like Spelman.
Any other questions?
Was any of School Days filmed on this campus, or was it Clark or AU?
We never got the film here. It had nothing to do with it. Spelman said no, Dr. Stewart, from the get-go. You Gloucester kicked us out. So we just shot Morris Brown, Clark College, and AU. Also like to say, so often I neglect to give credit to Clark College. I was a mass communications major. I took that at Clark because I don't want people they get on me. They should, but I forget Clark, which I shouldn't. And there's a professor there who's still teaching it, Dr. Herb Eichelberger, who's still teaching at Clark AU now, and he's the one that really propelled me into becoming a filmmaker. So shout out to Dr. Eichelberger and Clark AU.
Spike, there's a Spike Lee soundstage at Tyler Perry Studios. When are you going to shoot it there?
Well, shout out to Tyler. Your number love for Tyler. Named the studio after me. We had to shoot something that we could do there. But I definitely want to be honored to shoot something at the Spike Lee studio on the Tyler Enterprise. He's doing it.
So can we expect something in the next 10 years, maybe?
Yeah, 10 years. That's a good number. Thank you, Stan Washington, for that.
When's the next Spike Lee joint coming out?
Well, right now, I'm working on a multi-part documentary on Colin Kaepernick, ESPN.
Thank you all.
All right.